Welcome to Through the Lens of Astrology. I'm your host, Heather Ariel, and it is October 21st. I'm recording this a day early, and October 20th was just Kamala Harris's birthday. So we want to send a big, beautiful birthday wish out to our magnificent vice president. Yeah. Because that's really wonderful. It's a late Libra degrees. We got like just a couple of more days of Libra. So like let's celebrate. Let's celebrate some beautiful elegant Libras who uphold law, right? Yeah, yeah. Libra is all about law and balancing the scales. You can check out my last few episodes if you want to do a deep dive into Libra. We just had a full moon in Aries. That is such culminating energy. It can be very intense. Aries full moon opposing a Libra sun. So whenever you hear a full moon, that's what that means. It is an opposition. It's 180 degrees. And it's very exciting. It's that tension. It builds. The time between a new and full moon, anything that you begin, I talk about, it grows and blossoms, and then it's like, oh my gosh, okay, it's a full moon. Things can come to a head. So I don't know how it's been going for you. I've definitely felt a lot of that intensity. And so you just want to say, okay, let's just go with it. And then we have 2 weeks during the waning moon where all kinds of wonderful things happen. Sometimes people ask me, well, what do we do then? So you only get 2 good weeks a month? Of course not. Every day is beautiful, but the waning moon is more a time of refinement. You refine maybe what you were really pushing forward those first 2 weeks between the new and full moon. You're still always going forward, but you may be tweaking and doing some of that. One thing that was pretty spectacular. So this full moon, the degrees of Aries opposing Libra, just to point out Kamala Harris's chart, it's amazing. It sits right there. So that's her lunar return. And it just means, she has an amazing dynamic chart. And that full moon just was like a firework in her chart. It just really shows. Of course, the spotlight's on her. Spotlight's going to be on, any vice president, right? But it really intensified. And it also reveals some of the wonderful qualities of Kamala Harris, that the Libra sun, there is just a, a beautiful diplomacy anytime that she's trying to she negotiates, and there's this assertive diplomacy that's the hallmark of Libra, balancing the scales, right? The law and all of that. But the Aries, that gives a real pioneering fiery energy. Whenever there's an Aries energy, an Aries moon, that's independent. It's self-reliant. It's do it yourself. And then Libra is, no, I want to do it. Let's do it together. Libra is the compromise. Libra is the diplomacy. So that's why, when you have the Libra Aries energy, you can bounce back and forth between the two. And the goal is to, how can you balance those energies? So if you have those energies in your chart or during a full moon, it's how can we incorporate both? How can we balance both? And so you want to pursue your pioneering visionary ideas, but in a way that you can collaborate and you can bring people on. So it's almost as if it's not that you don't work with people, you work with people all the time, but you're leading the ways. It's almost saying, hey, come on board to my pioneering visionary vision. So, and it's very dynamic, fiery. Anytime you have a full moon in your natal chart, generally those are people who can withstand a lot of stress, more stress than others, because there's a dynamic quality to a full moon. It's almost as if those individuals, they know that life can be intense and passionate and dynamic, and they can handle it, and they can handle those bigger experiences really well. So it's, when I saw that in her chart, I just thought, wow, what a birthday. And how fantastic to have that on your birthday. I mean, that's some pretty fantastic energetic energy. So, yeah, just wanted to, yeah, give a beautiful shout out to that. A beautiful birthday shout out. Yeah. And because it doesn't matter what your politics are, right? We, the people in charge of our country, right? We want to give them beautiful, good, healing energy, right? So then the world can heal. And I really do support this team. Okay, so let's think about that now. We just got out of Mercury retrograde October 18th. We've just had this dynamic full moon. We are heading into intense Scorpio season. Oh my gosh, Scorpio season. I mean, I love it. I'm Scorpio rising, but it is really intense. I'm gonna talk more about Scorpio next week. This is the transition week because we just got out of the Mercury retrograde. We're in the refinement of the waning moon. We're in the last days of Libra. We still have Mars in Libra through October 30th. We have Mercury in Libra for a while. So we still have a lot of that Libra energy. And we want to really bring that energy in and make the most of it. Now, the first day of Libra, okay, when Libra ushers in, when the Libra sun ushers in, that's the fall equinox. And I did talk about the fall equinox. It's anytime there's an equinox or solstice, it's a big deal because it's bringing in a whole new season, right? Not just a zodiac sign. So it ushered in fall, obviously. Now, we did some cards. We did some messages to say, well, how can we bring in equilibrium? Because that's what the fall equinox is all about. It's how can we find balance, right? It's when the hours of the day are most equally, most balanced with the hours of the night. So it's all about how can we find balance. So I'm going to revisit that because those equinox and solstice spreads, remember, I like to every month we revisit and we add more layers because we're heading into, a couple more months. We have the winter solstice, and that's going to be a time of deep, profound renewal. But right now we're still balancing the scales, right? Libra is balancing the scales. We're balancing our bodies, we're balancing our minds, right? It's bringing equilibrium, and the retrograde does help that. We just got out of it, and so it's kind of in this refinement period. I thought this is just perfect. So we're going to do several more layers. I've had the most hectic retrograde that I've had in a long time. So I'm really looking forward to saying, okay, how can we recalibrate? Because that energy is still very, very strong. And let's recalibrate, especially before we go into Scorpio season. Oh my gosh, going to be so intense. All right, so now let's just look at this. All right, so, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about Kamala Harris's chart a little bit later, but all right. And then next week, because it's Scorpio, we're going to get into President Biden's chart, because I've talked about this, just a classic example of the highest manifestation of Scorpio energy, that transformation. So we're going to talk about that next week. Okay, so now, all right, let's go ahead and do a few messages for the fall equinox. We want to, we want to bring in that equilibrium. This is such a simple spread you can do at home. It's going to be, what is a message that says, where are we out of balance? And then where's some insight? What's some insight into that? And then the third card is the recalibration. Yeah, the recalibration. Okay. And especially, you may have felt really intense energy yesterday with that full moon and Scorpio season. It's going to get really, really intense. But that's wonderful. We can dig deep. It's all about transformation, and it is all about growth. Okay. All right. So all right, let's go ahead and do one layer, and then I'll do some more astrology, and then I'm gonna do a few layers interspersed. All right. This is nice transition energy. Yeah, and really once Mercury goes direct, once it went direct October 18th, when that happens, then it's really time to say, okay, what have you been thinking about? Yeah, it's like really implement, look over your journal, and really allow for that implementation of your most sensitive reflective thoughts, right? Because the retrograde was a very reflective time, and we're entering a refinement with the waning moon. And yeah, things are going to get really deep. So, in a way, if you now look at what you were journaling during the retrograde, when the Scorpio, uh, when the sun goes into Scorpio in a couple days, it's just going to bring a deeper level of knowledge to what you have been thinking about. Yeah. So now is the time to really be implementing and embracing the beautiful qualities of Libra, right? Which is assertive diplomacy, and it's working together. It makes me think of Colin Powell, who just transitioned and he passed from COVID complications. He had a vaccine, but he had COVID complications and some other things. But he really, and his sun was Aries. Okay. So he had an Aries sun, which is very, very pioneering. And I don't know what his ascendant is, but just you talk about somebody who worked so hard to bring people together. I mean, I always admired him. And that's what, we're really missing those voices today where, you know, we need to be able to discuss all of the politics in a diplomatic way, right? So, and he was just such a fantastic example of that. So, yeah, we want to send lots of love to his family and just celebrate him, celebrate his beautiful life, because it really was remarkable, and and a true inspiration. Yeah, a true inspiration of how to put forward ideas, right? Negotiate and um, and be diplomatic. And there's the famous quote where it's like soldiers. Oh, you know what? We got a couple cards popped out. We're going to have these cards. When they pop out, we include them in the spread. And it's, nobody hates war more than a soldier and things like that. I'm paraphrasing, but oh my gosh. Okay, we got another card. Um, and that's really true. And so when we think about, that's why he was such a great general, right? Because he he understood um, he understood all of that, and just the balance. So how perfect to talk about him, to talk about Kamala Harris with the sun in Libra, with it's so important. Let's balance the scales. We bring equality, but how do we go about it? And with Mars in Libra, we really want to be taking the Libra actions, right? The civil disobedience. I talk about that. That's a major Libra action. Okay. It's like you stand up for equality, you stand up for what you believe in, but in non-violent ways. That is a beautiful Libra action. Yeah, we think of Mahatma Gandhi, Martin Luther King. Okay. All right. So, all right, I have so many cards, I couldn't even shuffle them all together. All right. So let's see. And remember, if you're listening, you're part of the group. You're part of Through the Lens of Astrology, because that's how we become a group. Just by your active listening, you're giving energy and we form a group. And I talk a lot about unified intentions. That's why I pull these cards, because I want us as a group to have a unified intention, because it magnifies the energy. It's why thoughts are so important. Thoughts are things. And it's really important to then especially, I've been talking the last few weeks with the Mercury retrograde, all the Mercury energy. Let's connect. Really make sure we're reflective. What are we thinking? Let's be present with our thoughts, and then work to transmute. I have not done enough transmutation the last week. Let me tell you, I've had a very, very hectic retrograde. So I'm with you. I'm part of the group. I am in no way above this group. I am right there with you. Okay. And these messages are for all of us. All right. So this is an area where, as a group, we've gotten a little out of balance. Let's see what it says. Okay. Okay. Oh man. Oh boy. Yeah, it's so many cards I have. Okay. Oh my gosh. Jupiter reversed. Oh wow. Oh my gosh. Okay. Yeah, I can connect with this. Okay. Where have we gotten out of balance? Well, Jupiter is, I mean, it says recovery, recovery. that this is it's I mean, it literally says on the card, now is the time to regain equilibrium. Oh my gosh, this is just an amazing message because what is this whole spread about? This is a spread that is supposed to help us regain equilibrium. And this is a message saying what's gotten out of balance? Yeah, the scales are like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. The scales are not balanced at all. They are wildly out of balance. I feel it certainly with what I'm doing. You can all check in with your different units, yeah, and your situation and see. But there's probably going to be an area where you really feel because it was a very, very hectic retrograde in a lot of ways. So look at those areas. This is saying, yeah, we're out of balance as a group. Look at the groups you belong to. They're going to be out of balance. They're going to be power plays. They're going to be people. This is also an exhausted card. People are sometimes exhausted when they get the Jupiter reverse and they're like, oh my gosh. Um, and and so that's something to think about. That is just saying, okay, just become aware of it. And it could also mean that there's a lot of different energies in our group right now, and that in your little groups, when you look around, it could be some people like, no, I want to go forward. And others are like, wait a second, I'm about to collapse. Okay. So it's also saying, as a group, everyone has to come together and everyone's got to get on the same page. When you get this card, people are not on the same page. Okay. So it's recovery time. Yeah. So let's recover. I definitely have to do some recovering. Definitely. All right. I really connect with that. Okay. Now here is some insight into how did this happen, right? How did this happen? And then we got some other cards that just popped out that I am gonna go over. All right, here's some insight into how did we get so out of balance? Boy, all this energy in Libra, it's more important than ever to get in balance. Okay. Okie dokie, okay. Okie dokie, here's some insight. Here is some insight. How are we going to get into balance? Okay. Okay, here we go. Okay, let's get into balance. Here's some insight. Oh man, this is like some reasons maybe why we got out of balance. Okay, insight. Oh, wow, this makes sense. Mutable, survival of the fittest, a new approach. A new approach may be the solution. Be flexible and adapt. Okay, so this really means insight into how do we get out of balance. That we may not have been flexible enough, right? That we need to adapt now. Okay. We need to say, for whatever reason, something, it's like, whoa, the group got out of balance. Okay. And now we need to adapt. And so the mutable signs, this also elevates mutable energy. So look to your groups. Look to the Geminis, the Virgos, the Sagittarius, the Sages, and the Pisces. Yeah. So look to the mutable signs to say, this is what we're going to do. Okay. Yeah, we got out of balance. Okay. This is how we're going to get back in balance. This is what we're going to do. Because they are the ones who can do a course correction, right? They can be like, okay, we can do this, and then we can do that. And then what about this? Okay. So we got to be a little flexible. We got to be a little adaptable. We got to try some new approaches to then regain equilibrium. Because as the group, yeah, the group is a little out of whack. Okay. Now, how do we recalibrate? I mean, that's insight into what happened, right? Which also gives some advice. How do we recalibrate? How do we recalibrate? Okay. How do we recalibrate? Okay. I don't know. I seem to get more and more cards each time. I don't know how that happens. Okay. Whoa. Oh, okay. Here we go. Okay. How do we recalibrate? Oh, man. Okay. Here we go. Oh my gosh. Well, I did put a couple decks together. This is a very strong message. We got the mutable card. We just got the same card twice. Okay, so this is only a 3 card spread. All right. So this is insight into what happened, and this is saying, how do we recalibrate? We got to be mutable. We have to adapt. We got to do a course correction. It is a new approach may be the solution. Be flexible and adapt. So, this is really everyone in the group, all mutable signs. You got to step up to the plate. You know how I talk about this. We're a group, and we all can't be on every single second, right? So for our group and for whatever group you're in, it's time for the mutable signs to step up and do their little mutable dance and remind people you're not stuck. We're never stuck. And this is the transmuting energy. This is also saying, let's transmute, let's transmute. I talk about that, right? I didn't do enough of this last week, okay? But I'm going to do some transmuting over the next few days, let me tell you. And the mutable signs help us to do that. Okay, so the Geminis. Yeah, I'm the Geminis. Sagittarius, Pisces, Virgo. You gotta like really contribute all of your little mutable magic right now to the group and say, this is what we're gonna do, this is what we're gonna do, this is what we're gonna do. Okay. And there are all kinds of options because the other people in the group may be like, what can we do? I'm out of options. What do we do now? You know, and the mutable signs are going to say, well, we got a lot of ideas. This is what you're going to do. Okay, so mutable signs step up because that's when I talk about the group. How can we all want to help the group, right? And that is how we can do that. And we have so many groups. We have so many groups. Now we are going to do a couple more layers, but these 3 cards, oh, they fell out. And these are gorgeous, actually. So I was very happy because, yeah, those cards are saying, yeah, we're kind of exhausted, but we're gonna recover through mutability, through being adaptable now. But then we also got these 3 gorgeous cards over the group that are quite nice. Fifth house, fixed, and Venus. I mean, that's just lovely and gorgeous. So fifth house is self-expression, it is creativity, it's sports. It's like, yeah, so it's, be active, go play sports if you want to play sports. It is very creative, write, create art, be very self-expressive. Okay, do, it's self-expression. And it's the fun house. It is, oh, it's the house of fun. So definitely it's find your joy. All right, so, you know part of the mutability is make sure that you're doing things to have fun and find your joy and to be creative and to get out there and to be physical, even though, socialize as much as you want in a safe way, right? Now, it's nice that we also got fixed. Okay, this is great because mutable means, okay, you can try a new approach, but what's great about the fixed card is saying you don't give up. Okay, it's like, yeah, you may need to do a course correction, but you're not like, I'm going to do this instead of that. No, you're still on the same path. You're still on the same path with fixed. And it says hold fast to your dreams. You're capable of intense, prolonged, focused energy. Embrace your passion. You will triumph. No, so this is when we're in a marathon and you don't give up. You may feel like you're going to give up because, yeah, we want to be in a recovery period. But you don't give up. You keep going, but you do need to maybe try some other things. We need to try some new approaches, but we're still trying to accomplish the same goal. That's what fixed says. So it says connect to that stamina, embrace passion. Yeah, we will try it. So this is very positive. I'm so glad to get these because I'm telling you, I had a hard retrograde. I'm a little exhausted actually. So I'm very excited to see those. Then Venus, how beautiful, right? How beautiful is to get Venus, especially with so much energy in Libra. Sun, Mercury, Mars. Sun going to be going into Scorpio in a couple days, but Mars, as I said, through October 30th. Mercury just went direct October 18th. So we do have direct Libra energy. So Venus is connected to Libra, right? Venus is beauty. It is love, right? It is relationships. Venus rules all relationships. And so, whether they're romantic, business, friend, right? And so if Venus is kind of over all of this, right? It's saying these are like, how can we bring equilibrium, right? Venus is saying, let's connect to love and let's connect to beauty and love um and grace and elegance. It's a lighter touch. Venus is a light touch, right? And um it's very giving. It's reciprocal because Venus rules relationships. Libra rules relationships. So anytime energy's in Libra, it's not just about what you want to do. It's what everyone wants to do. It's so you check in with your partners and you say, okay, well, what do you want to do? Oh, okay, I want to do this and you want to do that. And then guess what? You negotiate and you compromise. Okay, that's Libra, right? And you make sure it's every voice counts. That's the legal aspect, the equality. Every voice counts. Everyone gets a vote. It's wonderful for justice and upholding justice, but it's also in a relationship. It's making sure you know what your partner is thinking, and especially thinking because Libra is air. Air goes to thoughts. So it is very much social energy and communicating and going out and doing things and debating. Debating falls under Libra energy because to debate, you need to see different points of views. Right? You need to see the different sides of an issue. That's, yeah. So Libra is wonderful. And you also need to debate. You don't just yell at somebody. You need to debate, right? Articulate, diplomatic ways. So that's really beautiful. And it is saying if Venus is highlighted, we do need to really check in with all relationships under that energy. And that makes sense with Venus as well, because if you're people that you're really, if you're best friends with, your romantic partner, maybe somebody you work with professionally closely, yeah, if that gets out of balance, I mean, that can be very, very stressful. So one way to bring equilibrium back to ourselves is to really is look at those relationships in the Venus. But that's a beautiful blessing. It's saying that these are, as a group, let's really embrace these messages. And that is one way to really get back um, to restore joy as well as the equilibrium, right? Is to fortify. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay. So that is I'm gonna, you know what? I'm gonna shuffle this deck. We're gonna get another layer, but because I really find, the equinoxes and solstices, sometimes people forget they really do carry energy from one to the next. So the fall equinox, it's very important that message of equilibrium until we get to the winter solstice. It's not just a Libra message. It's it's carrying us through to the winter solstice. It's giving us 3 months to really connect and incorporate that Libra message. That's why in Libra is a cardinal sign. So remember, every time there is an equinox or a solstice, it is in a cardinal sign. So then we have Capricorn with the winter solstice. We have Aries with the spring equinox, and we have Cancer with the summer solstice. And the cardinal energy is extremely forward moving. It is the most self reliant. It is full steam ahead. It is very, very strong energy. And it does bring in that new season. It's not just a new zodiac sign. So it is a 3 month window. And it's really important because it's saying, that's a major theme of that energy. So that means the Cancer nurturing energy is a theme for 3 months, right? To the fall equinox. This this theme of equilibrium, how can we get back into balance, is so important leading into the deep, profound renewal of the winter solstice when we're going to have to really take stock of things. Yeah, that's a very profound. And then we get ready for the new beginning in the spring equinox. So they're wonderful times, and it's important. It's not just a day, and it's not just for the month of when the sun is in that sign. It's a 3 month window leading to the next one. Yeah. And really, it's a 6 month, it's a 3 month and 6 month. It's a big deal leading up to the winter solstice, but the solstices are connected, the equinoxes are. And so, a lot of ways that nurturing energy with the summer solstice, which can be very reflective, is leading into the deep renewal of the winter solstice. So there's a 3 and a 6 month Uber window. And it is important because astrology is so full of nuance and duality. It is important to remember all the layers, right? There's so many layers. And it's so easy to just forget about the layers. And we can make things too well. We want to have the nuance. Yeah, we want to have the nuance. How perfect coming out of the retrograde, refinement of the waning moon, and we're still in, we still got the Libra. So now let's see, what is another area that as a group, yeah, we may be out of balance. We may have gotten a little out of balance in this group. Okay. So definitely Jupiter reverse, some deep recovery. Sometimes you just overdo it. When Jupiter's reversed, you overdo it. You just do too much. That's what happens. And you're like, oh, I got to recover a little bit. Okay. All right. But I love those. Oh, I love the cards that popped out. That's beautiful. There's so much love in this group. Yeah. And there's so much tenacity. There's a lot of passion and tenacity. And there's a deep desire to socialize in the group too. Okay, here we go. All right. All right. How did we get out of balance? What's out of balance in the group? Oh man. Okay. Okay. Oh my gosh, Mercury. Okay. Wow. Well, that makes a lot of sense. We just got out of a Mercury retrograde, Mercury in Libra. So our communication, this is an out of balance area. So, all right, this means really look at what are you saying. Okay, it's not only Mercury's not only thoughts. Mercury is how are you communicating what you are thinking? How are you processing information and how are you communicating? If we're out of balance as a group, that means we're not having the conversations we're supposed to be having. And that either they're incredibly heated, and this can be like really, really angry, over the top, crying, and then it can just be or silence or crickets. Yeah, crickets, and people just aren't talking. So, look at everyone in the group, look at yourself, and say, are you talking enough? Are you being too silent? Are you keeping your thoughts from others? Or, oh my gosh, I'm just dominating every conversation, right? And I'm talking too much because the communication is out of balance in the group. So think about that with Libra. Everyone, everyone deserves a voice, right? Everyone counts. Every vote counts. So if we get this as an out of balance area, really look at what are you thinking? What are you saying? What are you communicating? And make sure that you have clear communication. Do more if you're not doing enough, and maybe do less if you're doing too much. And then say, what's the tone? Because the Libra tone is diplomatic. That's going to be the easiest way to receive information with this energy, is if we can do it in that diplomatic way. If all the energy were in Aries, people can actually take a lot more, like it's almost like sword fighting. Okay, you can take more, but with so much Libra, it's very harsh to receive yeah, anger and really harsh communication. It's especially damaging with the sensitive Libra energy and coming out of the retrograde. So if you are really, really angry or things like that, think about that. Do some extra meditation. Think about how can you unravel and how can you share what you're thinking without maybe all of the anger. Just communicate it. Sometimes if you can't connect with the person then you want to with whom you want to connect, then that can get that way as well. Okay. Wow. So, all right. It's pretty powerful. All right. What is some insight into what happened? Yeah. How did our communication get so out of whack? Sometimes, well, you know what? I did a spread last week for us, and there were secrets bubbling up to the surface. And so there are a lot of secrets and deep, intense feelings and issues going on. We're heading into Scorpio season. All right. That's only going to get more intense. And even though Scorpio is very secret energy, it's also about the truth. And we have to, like, let's always strive for the highest the highest um, manifestation of that energy. And Scorpio is truth. What is the truth? Doing the research, asking the tough questions, getting to the bottom of something, and then shining a light on the truth, even when it's an incredibly difficult issue or a taboo issue. Scorpio is all about shining a light on taboo issues. So we got that card last week saying that, yeah, in the group, secrets are bubbling forth. So you may look at your individual, your little groups, or your family group, your smaller groups, and even this group. We have to communicate truths because things are too much is being hidden or too much is being expressed in inappropriate ways. That's what that card means. So let's look at that. Okay, so now let's get some insight. All right, some insight. How did our communication get so out of whack? Sometimes retrogrades can almost repress ideas. Like you have the ideas, but there's a repression and you feel maybe you don't feel like communicating them. And then there's an explosion when the energy goes forward or at the full moon. It's just like, and then they just come out in inappropriate ways. And sometimes there's a lot of miscommunication during retrogrades where things happen. And this happened with me definitely a lot this retrograde, where you just think, well, wasn't I clear? Oh, what just happened there? Oh, they thought this. Oh, I thought that. What just happened? It's that kind of thing where there's miscommunication and people are like, wait, so always, if you feel somebody didn't understand, ask for clarification. Work harder to clarify what people are thinking around you, because that just fell out. Okay, because there's just so many miscommunications with that energy, and sometimes Libra is tiptoe energy. Libra is, we don't want to cause waves. And so it can be, we hold so much back because we just want everything to be beautiful and nice. And then Scorpio comes in and says, and then it's like, oh my gosh. Okay. So there's nothing more beautiful than the truth, right? I always say, I have that little astro poem. Yeah. Yeah. Even when the truth ain't pretty to a Scorpio, it is always beautiful. And I really mean that. And if you resonate to Scorpio, yeah, you know that that's true. So, okay, here we go. All right, so we're going to get some insight into what happened to our communication. How did we get so out of whack? Oh, man. Okay, here we go. Oh, 12th house. All right, that's the house of secrets. Okay. Well, that's very similar to the eighth house. So how did our communication get so out of whack? Too many secrets. There are too many secrets. And the 12th house is also so private. It's so private. We went so within. We're probably not sharing enough. So, okay, hey, Mercury is direct. It is time to share. Okay, it is time to share. And so 12th house, if that's the inside of what happened, then we want to do the opposite of that card. It's time to be as public as you can be, get things out, share in the most public way. What are you thinking? Get it out there. Get it out there to the group. Don't assume people know what you're thinking. Don't assume they understand what you're thinking. Make sure, get the feedback and get the energy out there. Okay. That's, wow. Yeah, that resonates. Okay, now, and then there's another card that just popped out. So we're going to take it as sort of an Uber over this. The Ascendant reversed is pamper yourself. This really goes with the recovery card. This is a time where everyone in the group, pamper yourself. Okay. I just had a really nice long walk. It was very relaxing. So, as it says, take a sea salt bath, a walk in the woods, or even a nap if you want one. I just took a beautiful walk just in my neighborhood. But yeah, so find ways to pamper yourself. That's also going to really help you to recover right now. Sometimes we don't give ourselves permission, right? we just think, oh, well, I'll take a break tomorrow. I'll do that tomorrow. Well, I'll just do it today. Okay, here we go. Now, how are we going to recalibrate? Yeah, we want to recalibrate. Okay, how are we going to recalibrate? This is beautiful to do 3 layers. It really, and then you just take them in. You just embrace these messages, and it gives us all a unified intention. And it also just brings, it's make friends with this energy. It's saying this energy can really enhance your experience if you embrace this energy right now. That's how I use the messages. Okay, so how are we going to recalibrate? Okay. Keep thinking of blast off. I was very excited about. I love space exploration, and I'm still very excited about even Blue Origin going up. I mean, it's. I love the blast off. I keep thinking about that. It's very exciting. It's like we got to keep exploring, and I have the USA birth chart right in front of me, so I mean, I'm looking at it all the time. We're just a fan. We're just a country of explorers, and you know, just the freedom, the issue of freedom and exploring. It's very Sagittarius. It's Sagittarius rising. That's the USA. Sagittarius rising, which is the energy of the wanderer. The J.R.R. Tolkien, all who wander are not lost, right? It's like let's wander, let's explore, let's be around. Yeah, people who are different. Okay, that's very different going into space, meeting different people. Okay, here we go. Let's recalibrate. All right, let's recalibrate. Okay, here we go. All right. All right, recalibrate. Amen. Okay. Oh my gosh. This is so perfect. Okay, we got the Mars card and we got it reversed. All right. And it says, assert yourself. Oh my gosh. I mean, what have I been talking about? This is exactly what Libra is all about. This is what I've been talking about. Assertive diplomacy. And here we get the card. Okay. Yes, a conflict is brewing. So there's conflict. There's some conflict in the group. There's definitely conflict in my group. So, look at you. There is some conflict. But it is time to face it head on. That is the message. A conflict is brewing. Assert yourself. So it doesn't mean be aggressive, right? It certainly does not mean be violent, right? And we're not even going to be aggressive. We're going to be assertive diplomacy. This is amazing. This is exactly in alignment with the astrological energy. This is, if you have Libra in your chart, that's always your best route, right? If you're Libra rising, Libra sun, you're going to just win people over naturally through that charm and grace and assertive diplomacy. When the energy is in Libra, as it is right now, it's everyone's best friend to do that. And this is really a clear message for the group. Okay. We do need to assert ourselves, but we need to do not shy away from conflict. Right, there's conflict. There's going to be a lot of different opinions in the group about what to do and what's going wrong and how are we going to improve this. And so every voice needs to be heard. Yeah, look at that. Okay. I'm just like organizing these cards. So think about that. Every voice needs to be heard, but everyone must assert themselves. How? Through Mercury, through their communication. So make sure that your ideas are getting across and make sure that you're listening to someone else's ideas. And then you've got to do the Libra negotiation compromise. Okay. But this is, my goodness, the clearest messages of how are we going to recalibrate. Yeah. You know what? I'm going to pair them up because we did 2 of these and let's just, okay. Let me just put these together. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. It's going to make a little more sense. Okay. So, out of balance, we need to recover. and we got out of bounds with our communication. So too many people, you may be, some of us are holding way too much in, others may be putting way too much out, and others may be putting too much out in totally inappropriate ways. So really look at how are you communicating, and can you do it with more diplomacy, more grace, more negotiation, more compromise? That's how we're going to work that out. So this is where we're out of balance. And then if you look at this is the insight into what happened. This is the insight into what happened. Okay? We really became, the 12th house is full of secrets, and we became too inward and too reflective, where we stopped almost talking. It was like everything, I mean, this is 12 houses is transcendent meditation. This is telepathy. This is 12 houses in the mind. Like, even if you're not, it's just like you're thinking things and you're not saying them. That's the 12th house. You've got all the ideas, but you're not saying them. And we got out of whack with that. And so this is now saying, we have to actually say them. There needs to be communication, right? So if you're holding those things in, or you're having all these ideas, it's, we got to say them. We got to say a lot more in the group to have that communication. How are we going to recalibrate? Well, we're going to be flexible. We're going to adapt. We're going to try new approaches. We're not going to throw the baby out with the bathwater. We're going to adapt, and we're going to call forth all the mutable signs, the Geminis, the Sagittarius, the Sages out there, the Pisces, the Virgos. Okay. Yeah. The mutable signs got to step up. They got to step up. Show us, because it's so easy for you. We forget how hard it is for some to make a course correction, even a tiny one, right? And we got to assert ourselves. Okay. We have to recognize that there is a conflict brewing. People are not, we're not all in agreement. Okay. My gosh, look at the country. I mean, the biggest group that we're in as citizens is the US, right? Of course, we're citizens of the world, but we're citizens of the country, right? And so these are also messages for all of our groups. This is how we're being encouraged to interact with citizen, with, as a citizen for our country, right? For the group, as through the lens of astrology, and even within your family. This is information about the groups that we're in. That if you're part of this group, this is to help you uh, maneuver successfully through all of your groups. That's how you interpret this. We got to assert ourselves. Yes, there is conflict. There is conflict. This card, yeah, there's conflict. But we got to face it head on. We got to face it head on, because we're heading in a couple of days into the intense Scorpio season. Okay. And that's, we're going to dig deep, things are going to be exposed, and it's very, very intense. So let's, in the next couple of days, let's really connect with these messages immediately, so they can carry us through the Scorpio season, so we can dig deep but maintain the assertive diplomacy. Okay, that's where we want to go. All right. So when I'm looking at this, my goodness. Now, I know normally I do a third layer. This was kind of incredible. I think these are very, very strong images. I mean, messages, and I'm really connecting with them. So let me see. I want to make sure that we cover all of the astrology. Okay, so this is a transition, right? Allow for the refinement, kind of shake off the Mercury retrograde, right? We kind of got to shake it off, get back in, right? Implement all the wonderful ideas, tweak them, implement them. And the waning moon is, we had a really intense full moon yesterday. Allow the waning moon to just allow you to exhale, and you can shake off the retrograde and love the Libra energy, right? Even though we're going to go into Scorpio sun, we're still going to have Mercury and Mars in Libra. All right. So we're still going to need to balance taking the civil disobedient, the Libra actions to bring equality for all. I mean, I'm in Louisville. I talk about this all the time, the Breonna Taylor, but just tonight I was out on my walk, and every time I go out, I see a beautiful poster, Queen Breonna, justice for for Brianna. And it's just, that's Libra, right? So I said it last week, find your cause, right? This is gorgeous energy to find your cause. To really, we should always be trying to balance the scales. That's what lawyers do. Kamala Harris, great example of that, balancing the scales. But that's the goal, right? And it's a little bit easier for us to do that with Libra energy because we can pursue civil disobedience. It's a little bit easier to negotiate, to compromise, and we think about Colin Powell, how he maneuvered so successfully. I mean, everyone loved him, all the presidents loved him, right? Because he maneuvered so successfully with that diplomatic grace, right? So that's let's really try to stay in that energy because yeah, things are going to get really intense. Oh yeah, that's Scorpio. And especially because there's conflict. There is clear conflict in the group right now. I mean, that's clear. Yeah. But we can assert ourselves with beautiful communication. And what else can I? Well, you know what? I don't have time to say too much else about Kamala Harris's chart, but I tell you, look at, she's Gemini rising and her North Node conjuncts her ascendant, and just think about that. Gemini is communication, making connections. And when the North Node, so this is, if you're learning astrology, when the North Node is on your ascendant, if your North Node is on an angle, that's a really big deal. North Node, that's, we talk about destiny, we talk about what the soul needs to experience, right? That means that's a public destiny, North Node on your ascendant. And that's why she has such power. She has such power when she speaks, when she's in front of people. You can't take your eyes off of her. That's a North Node on her physical body, so that the energy she's giving off is connected strongly with her destiny, right? And her communication. Her Gemini communication is strongly linked with her success. And how many times do we quote her? How many times does she have just a hilarious or brilliant, when in doing these testimonies, she's the one they always, oh, what would she say today? That's the Gemini ascendant combined with the North Node, that how she communicates is going to be directly related to all of her success, especially. And she gets those lines and they're like, oh, and she phrases things just right. So that's Gemini combined with North Node. And then anybody who has North Node on the ascendant, whatever your ascendant energy is going to really be your best friend. Okay. That is your path to your destiny. Okay. The ascendant, the rising sign is our mission, right? North Node is a path. So when North Node hits that's really your path. So you can think about that. I'll talk about this. Yeah, there's a lot going on in that chart. We'll talk about that later. But just a beautiful, beautiful happy birthday. Happy birthday to Kamala Harris, whose birthday was October 20th. And oh, beautiful blessings to the beautiful soul of Colin Powell, right? We're putting all that out there. And yeah. And even, blessings to John King. I watch John King all the time. He's one of my favorites. And I just heard him today say that he had MS, and I was like, and he's important for the consciousness of the whole planet. I don't, I can't think of his chart right now. I know I've looked at it at some point. I think it may have Leo, but anyway, you know, you watch John King, he's on CNN. If you watch how he talks, it's totally balanced equilibrium. It's like he can say it's like the most devastating news, or you just want to like, and he's just like, I'm just going to tell you, and it's going to be okay. And I'm going to, and it's like, yeah, it is going to be okay. So this it's perfect. I'm talking about him because this is in alignment with what's going on right now with the Libra energy. These are the role models. It's like, let's look to the people who really are doing it right, right? And we can say, oh, okay, that's what we're going to strive for, right? Yeah, yeah. So, okay. Yeah. So I just wish everybody beautiful balance and equilibrium coming in. And I'll take a picture of these and I'll put them up, and they're really beautiful messages, and there's so much love in the group, and I thank you so much for giving the love to the group. And we're all going to come together, we're all going to step up, and oh, you know what, oh my gosh, do I have time? Yeah. Let's pick a card for the country. I always do that, right? We're good citizens. It's really important to be good citizens. I really do. I'm all about the group, and I'm all about, like, we're different groups, right? Like, you're part of the neighborhood. We're part of a group through the lens of astrology, and we want to contribute to the country. So I think we can get it in. Let's just get a card. So how can we just contribute and help bring the country together, right? How can we be good citizens? All right, let's be good citizens. I'll talk about President Biden's chart next week, because we're going to be deep in Scorpio then. Yeah, that's Scorpio time. Okay, here we go. All right, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Okay. How can we really be good citizens? Okay. Oh, man. Okay. Oh my gosh, I love it. I'm so happy we got this card. Fire card. The fire card. Oh, you know what? I'm so glad I remembered to do this. This is fantastic because it's been a little tricky retrograde. And yeah, there's definitely that showed up in the reading big time. Okay. Fire, ready to launch. Be bold and resolute. It is time to take action. Okay. That is a quote. That is a quote from the Scottish play Macbeth. All right. This is wonderful. How can we be good citizens? What can we do for the country? We just do it. We take action. We take action. And because it's Libra, let's take the Libra actions, the civil disobedience. You fight for equality, but we will do it in non-violent ways, but we will fight. So get your cause, find your cause, and take action. Take action. Let's do it. We're ready to launch as a group. This is beautiful. As a group, that means we have a lot of power as a group to help our country. This is like the fire. This was like, oh my gosh, when we look at all these cards, even though we're a little exhausted, the fire is, there is tremendous energy in this group to help our country. And there's, oh my gosh, this is, woo, I love, what a great card to end on. What a great message. All right, everybody, ready to launch. Just be bold and resolute. We have more than enough energy as a group to do amazing things for our country. This is like one of the strongest cards you can get. So you may not realize what you can do. So let's think about that, because I got to think about this because I'm not doing enough. But that means this is for the group. Everyone in the group, boy, we have more than enough energy to do amazing things to help the country. Okay? So ready to launch, be bold, resolute, and let's just take those actions to balance the scales and bring beautiful equality and harmony and equilibrium, right? To yourself, your family, the group, the country, the world. Okay. All right. So, yeah, that's our show. Until next time, enjoy and embrace transformation.